Let's look at the geometry of the Holy of Holies again. It was a cube. In the tabernacle in the wilderness, it was 10 cubits by 10 cubits by 10 cubits. In Solomon's temple, it was double the size, or 20 cubits by length, height, and width. In the Christian book of Revelation, the heavenly city of Jerusalem comes down from heaven to earth, and the dimensions of the whole thing are a cube, 12,000 stadia by length, height, and width. 12,000 stadia is about 1,500 miles. So the heavenly city of Jerusalem is 1,500 miles by length, height, and width. So it's kind of big. Interestingly, in the Saudi Arabian city of Mecca, there is the Kaaba, a large stone building that is said to have been built by Abraham and Ishmael. And you guessed it, it's a cube. So each Abrahamic religion, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, each has the cube as an important geometric shape. But let's look at the actual geometry of a cube. If you take the face of a cube, just a square, and call its length and height 1, and then you were to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner, the length of that line would be 1.414, or the square root of 2. If you took the cube and you were to draw a line from one corner to its opposite corner through the center of the cube, that line would be 1.732, or the square root of 3. If you doubled the square so that it's a rectangle with a length of 2 and a height and width of 1, which is exactly the geometry of the holy place, or the outer sanctum, and you drew a line diagonally through it from one corner to another, that line would be 2.236, or the square root of 5. These are called irrational ratios, and fascinatingly, they are found throughout the natural world. Leaf and flower petals are sometimes arranged in a square root of 2 relationship. DNA's helix structure reflects root 2 proportions. Beehives, snowflakes, and many atomic and molecular structures demonstrate root 3 relationships. The square root of 5 is the basis of the golden ratio, which is all over the place in pine cones, pineapples, sunflowers, and starfish, not to mention flower petals, seed clusters, seashells, and spiral galaxies. Don't worry, this is not a conspiracy theory video where I'm trying to say that all of these things have their proportions because of the Holy of Holies. It's just that the irrational ratios are throughout nature, and they are reflected in the geometry of the tabernacle and the temple, which is kind of the point. The outer court with its stone altar and bronze sea was meant to represent the lands and the waters of earth. The outer sanctum was meant to represent the skies or the visible heavens. In fact, the usual Hebrew word for lights that's used to describe the candelabra is the same Hebrew word that is used in Genesis when God creates the lights of the skies, the sun, moon, stars, and planets. The inner sanctum represented the invisible heavens. Thus, the tabernacle and the temple were a miniature version of the whole universe, the parts we can see and the parts we can't. The fact that the geometry of the tabernacle and the temple also reflects the geometry of the natural world is just another connection between the two. Architects of cathedrals and massive places and historic places of Christian worship used root 2, 3, and 5 proportions all the time in their architecture. The Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris uses the root 2 ratio in the nave, the place where the people sit, and in the areas between the columns. Chartres Cathedral, also in France, the crown jewel of Gothic architecture in medieval Europe, uses root 2 relationships throughout. The tracing and vaulting patterns of Wells Cathedral in England uses the root-3 ratio. Reims Cathedral in France uses it in the proportions of the width of its facade to the height of its spire. And Sainte-Chapelle in Paris uses the root-5 ratio in its basic floor plan, the proportion of its width to its height. Hagia Sophia in Istanbul uses both root-2 and root-3 proportions. The root-2 proportion helps transition the square base to the dome roof. The root-3 proportion is seen in the basic layout of the floor plan. These are not mistakes or happenstances. Cathedrals and churches are designed to tell the story of God in stone and glass. And in so doing, they link up the natural world, the cosmos, with their buildings and show and point to the Creator who made it all.